And we can see it in this last election. And to tell us that we need to be more moderate is further proof of the lack of I shouldn't say lack of education, but the poor indoctrination that we are calling education. Because that's exactly what it is. Because when you tell people the truth, you point to the figures, you point to the facts, and they still don't believe it. Well, folks, that moves from education and faith to indoctrination and brainwashing. And it's about time that we stop letting it happen to our children. Because frankly, folks, now our children are becoming adults, and they're going to have the reins on policy and the reins on the purses and pocketbooks of this nation, and they'll have their hands on the reins of our medical and health system. You want little ignorant, indoctrinated little Johnny telling you what kind of health care you can have and can't have? You better change the education system, and you better change it fast.
You said in the Rose Garden, the day after the attack, it was an act of terror. It was not a spontaneous demonstration. Is that what you're saying?
Please proceed, Governor.
It is in response to a video, a film. This is in response to a video.
Internet video that we had nothing to do with.
That was spontaneous? Was it a planned attack? Was there a terrorist element to it?
This is a response to a hateful and offensive video.
The video and its influence on the protests that occurred in Cairo and Benghazi. In response to this video, it was the video that caused the unrest in Cairo, that precipitated some of the arrests in Benghazi. It was sparked by the reaction to this video. The video was a precipitating cause to the unrest, specifically in Libya. Might take advantage of a situation that was brought about initially as a response to the video in question.
Natural protests that arose because of the outrage over the video.
You're totally correct that they spent 2 weeks telling us this was about a tape and that there was this riot outside the Benghazi consulate, which there wasn't.
Natural protests that arose because of the outrage over the video.
I was in chronic pain, and my family struggling to make ends meet, food and gas prices going up, even keeping my job was iffy. Then I learned about a new miracle drug made in Washington, D.C., Spenditol. Spenditol is Washington's answer to all the painful problems Americans face. How to borrow $800 billion for a stimulus that didn't create jobs or fix the economy? Spenditol.
Spenditol is not for everyone. Side effects may include a mountain of government debt piled on our kids, a sudden loss of freedoms, higher prices for everything, leaving our kids a lesser America than we had. Ask your doctor or congressman if your conscience is strong enough for Spenditol.
And it's so popular in Washington, we have to import trillions more of it from China. Spenditol makes you feel better now and pushes off the really bad stuff till later, for them to deal with.
Call the White House and Congress. Tell them, stop spending it all.
Feeling lonely this holiday season? Looking for little human interaction? Do you want to feel contact in certain special places?
Then why not go through security at an airport?
The TSA.
TSA agents are ready and standing by to give you a little something extra to feel thankful about this holiday season.
The TSA.
What are you waiting for? I want to check under your testicles.
Spending time with a TSA agent couldn't be easier. Simply book a flight departing from any American airport. When selected for a full body scanner, say no. You'll be pulled aside by a TSA agent, and that's when the fun begins. And you never know who your agent will be. It could be me. Or me. Or even me.
but it's probably gonna be us. Take off your damn shoe.
The TSA. It's our business to touch yours.
Welcome to the Bureau of Womanhood Conformity. Independent thoughts are considered subversive because all must agree with our leader.
When it comes to women, preventive care should include coverage of contraceptive services such as birth control.
You see, if you don't believe government should pay for your birth control, you're not a real woman. Womanhood denied. If you refuse to accept that pregnancy is a punishment, you're denied as well.
I don't want them punished with a baby.
If you don't believe that abortions should be allowed for any reason, if you don't believe in aborting a child for being the wrong gender, and if you don't believe that stay-at-home mothers aren't real workers, you are not a real conformed woman.
His wife has actually never worked a day in her life. His wife has actually never worked a day in her life.
Finally, for your safety, if you oppose mandatory government health care, you will die.
They will be voting to say that women can die on the floor.
These standards and regulations were formed after our glorious victory in the war on women. Thank you for your cooperation and your conformity.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
And we are back. Yes, indeed. I am the all-powerful voice. I am Elrod, the voice of reason, the voice of logic, the voice of truth. And no matter what, truth is more powerful than any lie, because yes, the truth, and only the truth, shall make you free. And that's what we're all about here, is the absolute. Even if I don't like the truth, there's truths that we all don't like, but that doesn't change the fact that it is still the truth. I don't like the truth in the fact that Obama's got a second term. I don't like the truth that basically what Americans have voted for is to go take our country down the road of socialism. I can try to deny it. I can try to explain it away. But it doesn't take away from the fact that the truth is we're now becoming a European-like socialist nation and could be worse. Hell, you got Putin over there, acting up in Russia. Now, well, we'll get into that, but you could be arrested in Russia for basically it's just as bad as the old Soviet system with the KGB. But we'll get into that as the show goes on. There's an article here about from TechCrunch.com and written by Daryl Issa. It's an opinion piece by Representative Daryl Issa. Now, Issa has represented California's 49th congressional district in the House of Representatives since 2001. And he said the title of his piece is "Making Government Suck Less." Now, it's a beautiful title. It really is. I mean, because anybody and everybody who reads that, even if you're a liberal, you're going, yeah, man, I want government to suck less, because liberals think that since the government isn't taxing rich people 100% of their income, that they suck. Government sucks. So just about everybody thinks government sucks. But on June 11th, 2012, Issa says, "I went all in on open. Now, that day I traveled to the Personal Democracy Forum, the PDF, in New York City to launch the Open Gov Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to developing and deploying technology solutions that help people participate in their governments. But a tool is only as good as the problem it solves. And we face a massive problem. The Stop Online Piracy Act, or SOPA, is only a symptom. Government doesn't understand the internet, how it works, and the awesome power its networked users wield to disrupt almost anything, especially politics itself. Now, my job as chairman of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee is to innovate government and hold it accountable to taxpayers. Reform is inherently disruptive and often demands speaking unpleasant truths to the powerful in Washington. That's why just before taking the stage at the PDF, I announced contempt charges against Attorney General Eric Holder for stonewalling the investigation of Operation Fast and Furious. A shocking contrast to some in the crowd, probably, but since joining the fight to stop SOPA in Congress, I've had many head-spinning days like this. Far from foreshadowing the Mayan apocalypse, which is fast approaching, maybe we should count it down because next Tuesday, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, it'll be a month away. But so we are about 4.5 weeks away from the end of the world as we know it. Now, I know there are people out there that are saying, "Well, geez, we're Israel's about to actually go to war in Gaza, Rod. That there couldn't be, and Iran is just waiting for that, and so is Egypt. It could be the end." Well, I can see where some people might see that. And we've got a president who obviously isn't going. Well, there was what was I listening to? Oh, I know, it was 94.5 FM, Jammin' 94.5 in Boston. I was listening to the morning show with Romero and Pebbles. Let me tell you something. Romero is something. He's a character. But listening to the morning show with Romero and Pebbles. This was back in it was like January, I do believe. And they had a quote unquote seer or predictor. What do they call those people? A fortune teller. And they asked her, well, who's going to be president? Who's going to be elected president this year in 2012? And this woman, I don't believe in all this hocus pocus future telling stuff, but this, she had a 50-50 shot, I guess. But she said then, not that it was too difficult to figure out even in January who the Republican nominee was going to be, because it was pretty clear. But she said it was going to be a Obama-Romney campaign, and that Obama would win. I remember that clearly now. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I hope to God she's wrong. And then we started having all these other, types of events and indicators that almost all of them pointed to the fact that Romney was going to win. I mean, the Redskin rule and the no president who's ever had unemployment above 7% or 8% has ever been reelected. No president, blah, just all kinds of stuff that pointed to a Romney win, except for this woman back in January saying, before all this other stuff came out, saying that it was going to be Obama. Now, with that said, before that time period, listening to this woman on Jammin' 94.5, I had read, I can't remember where I got it from or where I saw it, but there was also another prediction previous to that. Before the Republicans really started getting into the nominating process and things like that, back in 2010 and 2011. And there was another prediction at that time that stated basically